This is Entervoid.com's VCast. Entervoid is the world's premier comics battling website. It's a place for artists of all skill levels who love comics to hone their skills through competition and collaboration. Check us out on Entervoid.com. This episode was recorded on January 3rd, 2019. Why do my tabs keep deleting themselves?
I believe it's...
Back to one. Hello everyone, welcome to another VCast, and welcome to 2019. This is your host, Pyrasterran. I'm here with ArtsandGoodies.
Hello.
Astrodile.
It's me, again.
And new to the VCast here is Cro-Iba, also known as Racer.
That's me, I'm here. Hi.
How's everyone's winter vacations?
It's fucking cold in San Diego, I just want to say.
Mm-hmm. It's cold in Texas, too. It's like 40 degrees, and I walked my dog, and I was like, oh, I can see my breath. That's not good.
I wish it was cold in Florida.
Oh.
Preparing bated breath for the election royale, because I am all kinds of emotions for that right now.
That's true. Election royale will start drawing this weekend.
Yeah, get your politics on.
For those of you who didn't listen to our last episode, check the previous episode so you can get all the political drama on all the characters that are running.
I just want to confirm I do not have attraction for Conway.
For Harlow.
I have attraction for no one except for La Bamba. Thank you very much.
New to the year is a new tournament schedule that just got released as of this recording today.
Sorry, I'm glad it's not as dense as last year. We got an entire month right now where there's no tournaments. We got all of August. You don't do anything that entire month. How nice.
It leaves room for battles. Also, and also the different types of events, because it's not just a tournament, death tournament, battle royale tournament, royale, a tag team tournament, the boot camp, which is a small round robin. I'm gonna try to get into all of those. Then there's the heavyweight battle royale, and then there's the invitational, which is for new people. The Toontown in September, and the rest. Well, also Month of the Dead. So that's good, and it leaves some breathing room for people to do other stuff in actual battles, because Retribution's also still going on.
I'm kind of excited for a Toontown Showdown tournament. I kind of want to join that, but we'll see in the future. I like the name Round Robin Regimen. I think that's pretty catchy. Invitationals I'm super hyped for, because I'd love to see more new people. I know we got like a huge flop because of Korn. Shout out to Korn. But I'm looking forward to like a bunch of new characters to fight, and so I can get that welcome wagon badge.
Yeah, I'm definitely super hyped for the invitationals too, because it's like a big splurge of here's a bunch of new friends. You're gonna get a whole bunch of friendly personalities you've never seen before coming out of the woodwork. So, yeah.
And keep in mind, members listening, that if you have any other ideas for little guerrilla events you want to have going on, you're welcome to do whatever you want in between. Just keep in mind, of course, that the schedules of folks and whether or not they'll be too busy to join tournament after tournament.
Mm-hmm.
For today's episode, we've got about 13 comics to go through. A lot of battles came in all around the same time during the holidays, which is kind of unprecedented for the site. Usually during the winter holiday, everything starts to die down, but we had a complete opposite this year.
Yay!
So, since we've got so many comics, we're going to skip recaps. We're going to be going fast again.
Here we go. Sonic music. Let's start it.
Back on that
And we're going to start right on up with Ashlan versus Akira Matsugi.
I was in that.
Yes, Astrodile was in that with her character.
Ashlan, so because I've already mentioned, fuck, that's just really good. I love these stylized types of comics where it's just one color, heavy blacks and heavy whites. And I'll need to just strap you down to a chair and you teach me this stuff. I mean, this Astro, because it's so good. I just really love the style of this. We've already talked extensively about gutters, and I've told you about that stuff. That was my main critique with it, but yeah, I really like it.
The style also, I'm definitely a huge fan of it because like I know you only had a week to put out like 6 pages, which is really good. That is a good pace. That's a better pace than I've ever been able to do. So, but like I mean, your regular coloring also is incredible, but like even as like this stands up on its own, even as like a compromise with time. In addition to the fact that it's like it also just like is paced really well, like. You have like your comics in the past have been like it's been kind of hard to determine what happens in them. So you've made a lot of strides in like just making readable, well-paced, like digestible stories. And I know that like that's been somewhat of a focus of yours. So it's super cool to see the like it's a nice little story. It's just like Ash like just murdering someone. And just getting what she wants, and it's good. She deserves it.
Astrodile, I think visually this is currently my favorite comic of yours. It is really great what you do with the black, white, and red throughout the entire thing. I noticed that there's a bit of a stylistic change to how you're drawing it, from going to page 2 on to 3, where you sort of stop using lines and you just work with the colors to make all the shapes and show all the designs. I would have loved to see this, what you're doing in pages 3 to 6 for the first 2 pages as well. I don't have a lot to say out of this one. Like I said, this is my favorite one you've done so far visually, and I would love to see more comics that look like this one.
Well, I'm glad you guys like it. A lot of people have given me positive feedback, and I really appreciate it. And some people ask me, Astro, how do you do it? And I'm like, well, on the second day, took a big fat fucking brush, and I just put it on the canvas because I got tired of doing line art, and I didn't want to do line art for the environment, so I just kind of winged it. I'm really glad that people like it, and the whole 3 color scheme I went for. Personally, if I'm legally allowed to critique myself here, I feel like, I mentioned this in the comments earlier, there's a lack of distance in when I was doing like page 3 and onwards. It feels like everything's kind of like squished in there and very close together. And it's kind of like nodded me off while kind of just looking at it. Also, there's a huge coloring error on page 6 where I did light green instead of white because I can't see, I guess. But yeah, I'm just really happy with the feedback I've gotten, and also just a personal shout out. Thank you to Hellas for letting me battle you.
Cool. Let's go to the next part, Hellas' side.
Okay, so Hellas has just been producing a bunch of different comics, like consistently. They're improving a bunch. I also like that they're experimenting with all the different texture brushes in this one. In terms of the art, I do also like the one panel with the colors, like on page 5 with the one panel. I do like that, but I think the red it might have been better to make the colors like sharper, to make that the fact that they're there stand out more. Because I think it's that they're too light or saturated, as much an impact as they should. Excuse me. And also it was a little weird how those colors were also on page 1 for the flags. It didn't much. I think it would have helped with the impact of page 5 with the color panel if there wasn't the colors on panel 1. You have a black and white comic with just one panel of colors.
Right.
So that's what I have to say.
Okay. I can't say much because I like this comic, and I like how at the end it turns out that Akira's been picking up dudes to consume them later. And I like this little interaction between my character and yours, Hellas. I know that our halves are kind of like sequential, like they kind of like meld together nicely. But man, I kind of hope that there's more interactions between these two. I think it'd be fun, and that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think it's great that characters who eat people in some form or another can have some camaraderie together. I think they deserve that. So yeah, but also I feel like in this you got so you got a lot of cool textures. Yeah, you got it, and you also got some pretty good faces as well. This is probably one of my favorite comics I think you put out. I'm realizing just because it's just really technically put together. Like I think you did another comic this week, which I think is just a bit weaker on this respect, but this one I feel like kind of stands out. I just feel like it's just more put together. Like you got some nice shots. Like this one where you can see part of Ash's face and part of Akira's face. Like that looks real. That I think like it just looks real nice all over. I don't know.
Hellas, keep practicing with the textures. What you got here is a good start. I noticed that some of them have different shades to them, different hues. Like one's particularly black and one's a little purplish or bluish. Pay a little more attention to that when you're using the textures. You've been putting out a lot lately, and it's good to see you continue to work. And some of that is showing through in these pages. Some of your efforts. There's one part that stood out to me that you still need some more work with, and that's with creating the bodies of non-human characters. I think Ashlan's centaur body needs some more work, and I think in general animal bodies are difficult for you. You should take the time to do some animal studies, skeletons, anatomy, etc., to really start to nail how their bodies work and move, so you can get them up to the same par that you have with human bodies. Does anyone have anything else left to say?
More Akira comics, please.
But yeah, I can agree with you about that Ash's body could be a bit more spruced up here. I mean, it's just I don't know. She kind of looks. In this one panel on page 4, she just kind of looks small, even though she's much taller than Akira. Like I feel like I don't know. There's a way to push the power of that, not stance, but just that her figure has.
I think part of what happened with that panel is that when you start to draw really small, sometimes your anatomy proportions start to go a little weird. Ashlan's head is a little big on that last panel. But don't be afraid to grab things that you have with a marquee tool and resize them to make sure everything's proportional to the rest of your comic.
And you could also draw it bigger than shrink it down, maybe? I don't know how often people do that, but
I know I have to shrink my heads down a lot all the time.
I have the opposite problem where I always need to make my heads larger because I make them too small on the bodies.
It's kind of a mood.
Well, congratulations to Astrodile and to Hellas. These are some cool comics.
Yeah.
As usual, we want to see more.
Thank you. I forgot my name was Astrodile, so I was like, oh wow, that's me.
Our next comic we're going to review is Veronica Nightingale. I think it's a one-day Beyond battle. If I read the comic correctly, it's a thought that counts.
And I like Kura's style. I always like their comics because the way they do the inks, mostly anime aesthetic, and that's like the stuff they go to. And they're black and the grayscale and the black and white they do is so good. It's always one of the ones I've looked up to. It's a funny little joke, and even if it's like the only comics you feel like doing, they're really good. Like adds a bit of character, and it's just fun. It's just a fun little comic. So if that's all you can bring yourself to do, please do that.
So, Kura, good choice of song for Veronica. Excellent choice. Very good song. I really like this comic. It's really short and sweet, and it's like kind of like wholesome in a way. Like it's just, even though it's like not it's family fun in the weird way because they're both like hyper competitive, but it's just kind of nice to read the interactions between these two that isn't so like it's just pretty simple and sweet, and it's not like, it's just fun. I like it because it's just fun, and Theo learns a lesson out of all this, which is to just buy people out. and Veronica continues to be one of the most powerful people on Void, which is great. So I don't really have any complaints for this because, it's a one-day comic and you did really well with it. So much respect.
Yeah, Kura, your shitposts are just good. I like them. I like seeing Veronica just being an absolute dickweed because that is just her. And I like seeing Theo being cute in addition to also being a burgeoning dickweed, but maybe he won't be as bad. I honestly, even if for a shitpost, yeah, it's well made. And it's well plotted. Like you do a thing with Veronica that I really like, of doing the whole thing of like, oh, how is it possible she can win this situation? And you throw me a leg sweep, you put some twist in, and it's like, oh, that's how she makes it. Like that is the very. I mean, it's not like it's the hardest. It's not the most obscure kind of plot in the world, but I eat it up. And like you've been really good at writing these sort of things. Even if like, oh, she just bribes them, it's like a really simple solution. That doesn't stop me from loving it like basically every single time. Just give me more of this good content.
Yeah, correct. Go ahead and keep making more little comics like these. They're nice. It doesn't seem like it takes too much out of you to do it. I know sometimes you get really stressed over the comics you're making, or you feel like you take too long. If this was done at a pace that you can deal with, I think you should battle and make comics in this fashion, and even try your hand at some of the one-day battles that people are doing nowadays. Because this is solid stuff for that amount of time and for a single day. No notes.
Or one days in general, just from everyone. Those are good fun comics when you know you have a day off.
Yes.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how much you can get out of one-day comics. Congratulations, Kura, for this cute little story. We're moving on now to the Mechanic versus Polterdot. Kurt and Polterdot. Polterdot. I fused them.
Kurt and Polterdot. Wait a sec.
This is the return of an old member who hasn't been around for a very long time. Viper Chief. We're glad to see you back. And we'll be starting with Viper Chief's side with the Mechanic.
I like the fact that, like, because I've only been here for a year, just super cool. How was he, like, 10 years ago? But it's just cool seeing someone come back from, like, a while ago, and their style being still from, like, that time. I love heavy ink styles with lots of black spots, so I really like that. And I've already mentioned my main crit being the fonts, because these are just, like, Arial black. That is a font you use for making documents and writing up reports, not a font in comics. Leave Viper Chief the link to like Blambot. Just get free fonts specifically for comics. It'll make it look much better and make people it'll make people more immersed into the comics and crit for the comic.
Okay. Viper Chief, welcome back. I don't know you, but welcome back. Like, and also, holy shit. Absolutely loving your art style. I'm loving the line art. I love this line art. Like, I cannot emphasize how much I love this line art. It gives me strong vibes of like the previous era of Void. And, even though you should not be using like Arial as the font, like as Art said, just the fact that you're using even the font style that you're using, it's like, yes, it reminds me of those days. I know you mentioned that you accidentally uploaded the version with no text on page 4, and honestly, I didn't even realize that this was supposed to have text. Like, it's pretty strong by itself, and I feel like if you added text bubbles, it would just fill the page and distracts from showing how good your line art is. And really, the page itself just satisfies what it's trying to execute. I don't really need any extra dialogue or anything like that to show what's going on. I could practically hear what's happening with myself. Looking forward to more content from you, and I don't think I have much in terms of critique. I guess I would ask for some more exterior shots, more zoomed out shots of the environment, because we don't really get those until like page 4 or so. Well, there's one in page 1 in the last panel, but I feel like there just needs to be just a little more so that not everything feels so close up.
Yeah, I'm looking back at like your last complete comic here, and it's amazing how this feels like it's just your art style was sealed in a time capsule for like a decade, and it's popped out, but just way better with like your cross hatching and your control over line weight, and it looks it's phenomenal. Really, I definitely love how this looks. Although, yeah, doubling down, font's bad. You know that. But no, yeah, I love like this last panel on page 2 is just like wonderful. Look at all the little details and all the cans and all these wire, and look at the cross hatching on his art. Like, it's so good. And I really like how on page 4 you end it with like instead of like doing like full page action shots or whatever, you just put a bunch of little tiny vignettes of the action, like, oh, this is the fun they had, they remember the times, wish you were here. I love that, like that it's like it because it celebrates the fighting, but it also plants it as like, this isn't really the focus is like the relationship between Kurt and the mechanic here. And I really like that. I think that's really well executed. I think this whole comic is really well executed. Also, on page 1, I totally thought that the big sound effect was a fart at first, but it's not.
Yeah.
Viper Chief. Everything that everyone has said pretty much sums up my thoughts. The fact that the only major downside to the comic is the font choice is a testament of the quality of your work, even after so long. There's a few things that I could use for polish, cleaning out some of the extra lines and drawings coming out of the borders and gutters, and doing, I think, what you did with the first page to the rest of the pages, working your levels so that the blacks are pure black for H1, so they match with your font. It's possible you didn't have enough time for that. Other than that, there isn't anything else for me to say. It's happy to see you back. It's great to see you working with this style. It's great to see other people being able to see the kind of style that Void was known for back in the day. It's a little more, in some ways, it's more meticulous, and I hope people learn from it.
I want to learn that type of style. It's pretty cool.
Let's get some tutorial from you, Viper Chief.
Yeah, and also fight me.
We're going to move on to the next part of the battle, Raji's side with Kurt and Polterdot.
So I'll just start. I like Raji's stuff pretty much always. Like, he did have issues with the stories and really good step up. Like, his main issue with his previous comics before was some of the pacing was really off. But I enjoyed the story and pacing in this. And also, in terms of just for the bottom panels, it's two border panels, but the way mechanic is in it, it sort of gives it it makes it more than those 2 panels. It feels like a couple more panels, if that makes sense. That turned out. That was cool. And also, I love the sepia brown color, and even the incomplete pages are still readable and don't really stop enjoyment for the comic.
Okay. Raji, this is, as per usual, you're doing great work here. I know you're a little short on time, so you have unfinished pages and some that seem a bit more rushed. But as Art said, it didn't stop me from enjoying it. The art looks good, the poses, the environment. Honestly, I don't think I have anything to say about this comic besides I feel like the leeway to page 8, I feel like there wasn't really much that would lead into it. I kind of feel like page 8 is like a sweet and happy note to end the comic on, but I don't know, I just kind of feel like that's kind of put there just for the sake of inserting her in there, which is fine in a way, I guess, but I'm not really satisfied because they're talking about such a heavy topic and about how, the old docs and his gang is kind of in danger and things aren't going well. And then all of a sudden they just ignore the topic altogether and it's focused on his girl, which I guess some people will like it. I don't know why, but it just kind of comes out of left field for me just a little bit. But other than that, great stuff as per usual. Looking forward to more content from you, and that's about it.
So, everyone knows Raji is super polished down when he wants his comics to look in, remarkably quick speed over the past couple of years on the site. I love how, your whole simple method of dealing with a comic you can't, fully color is, the white and the slightly off light gray cell shading, because you play with it really well. You in some of these panels you feather, or not feather, but you watercolor the border, that cell shade, and it looks super good. And also just the way that the color kind of changes throughout a page, that looks it's super, it feels super nice. And I also love just how comfortable you are with playing with the panel borders and in the characters' relationships and that. You got on page 2, you got the mechanic just standing, floating in front of all the panels. Then you got on this panel, his hands are floating outside of it. And then you've got with Joey in the end. Yeah, you do that a lot. It's super nice that your panels are so good. But if I can nitpick, dangerosity is not a word, it's dangerousness. I don't know if I understand you're doing the joke with the rumor about his death, but that doesn't, that's not really, that wouldn't explain it. I don't know. I was caught up on that. And also I don't really, the ending line, I'm fine with the page. I think the whole page on its own is fine. The ending line doesn't, I'm not sure if I should read it as a joke or if it's meant to be a serious, you should really think about what she's doing here. It just doesn't really have enough punch either way for me.
Let's see. Raji, we know how good you can be when you've got the time. Even without as much time as you had, what you have here looks pretty good. It's legible. We can understand everything that's going on. My main critique would be to try something different with the word balloons, if you can. I don't really have too much problem with the shapes you've got. It's really more of the this sort of drop shadow gradient that you've got going on with those shapes. I think there could be something else you could try that would blend better with your comics. Anyone have anything else to say?
I can see what you mean about the speech bubbles. Yeah, they kind of stick out.
English isn't Raji's first language, right?
Right.
No, yeah. I think
the dangerosity thing was just a slight mistranslation thing, so I didn't mind it.
That tends to be the case if Raji doesn't get a chance to have someone proofread it.
which might sometimes happen in these small, short, because this was a 2-week battle. In these short deadline comics, that can happen sometimes.
Right. Okay, well, congratulations, Viper Chief and Raji. These were entertaining comics, and we can't wait to see more from both of you.
And they're kind of neck and neck on the votes.
Next up is Harvey versus Croco. Unfortunately, Ashlan was not able to submit a comic for this, so we'll just be reviewing Style side.
Yeah, it sucks because it also sucks because for the reason was like some just dumb computer stuff happened on Ashlan's side. So I'll just talk about Croco. Styles Croco's side, like the expressions in this, and also rereading the first page. I like the dialogue and how he was just like being vaguely threatening, but just fucking with Harvey. It's a really fun character moment, and overall, this is just really good. And I look forward to seeing you do more stuff with.
Stylo, this is your first battle. Yay! It's a really nice way to get to know Croco's character a little bit more of his backstory after his intro, I guess. Well, it's kind of like in the middle between his intro and like when he gets to Void City, I guess. But it's really nice to know a little bit about Croco's personality more, that he's trying to have a heart of gold, and he's, talking to Harvey about it, and also the good cushion and all this stuff. It's a very it's a nice and short and sweet comic for me, and I hope to see more of Croco in the future.
Yeah, I really I love your style. I love how you can do these really intricate shadings with like a giant water brush here, and it's like and also like how you do people's faces. Also, like they look surprisingly. It feels like it feels at odd with like otherwise your detailed style with how people's faces are actually kind of cartoony, and I really like it. I like what you do there, and also how just everything is, even on this like page that's clearly not finished. It's all super. You can tell what's going on really well. It's very a bit characteristic. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. I like it. You gotta put out some more stuff, Stylo. It's gonna be great, and know it. Get some good Croco happenings on this site.
Yeah, Croco Style. This comic, I think folks should pay attention to as sort of an example of how you show your what your character's about in one comic. Even without having read the intro comic, you can get everything you need to know about the kind of person that Croco is in this comic alone, and that's hard for some people to get through. So congratulations on getting that right.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I'll also say I love the expressions. I love Croco's expressions in this. I double down on that. That you do good expressions.
Croco is very cute.
Congratulations on your output here, Stylo. We hope to see more comics from you sooner rather than later. And Ashlan, we want to see more comics from you also when you get your computer fixed. Coming up next is Grita versus Prisma Thanatos. Unfortunately, Pepperjack was not able to submit a comic, so we will only be reviewing the side from MRPR.
So, PR, you've pretty much figured out a writing method, style, and a sense of humor that they have that I just really like. I don't know, cartoons are like with the part where it's like the dead live part, and also the previous ones with the multiple attempts of something and just failing at it. I like that humor, and I also like how this is different in that sense from those. In terms of the art, I do feel this was a little not as great as some of your other ones. And in particular, there were a couple panels where it was just all gray. I feel like instead of those panels being all gray, it would have been better to put some of that gray in the backgrounds for all the other panels, just to give a better sense of depth.
You have a certain writing style going on here, Mr. PR, and I'm really starting to like it because it's because I find it pretty funny. I think it's pretty cute. I like the interaction that's going on here. I think my favorite page has to be page 6, because I just like that last panel. It made me laugh. I really love it when you draw faces like that. Out of this comic, I hope to see more full bodies out of you, because you have a lot of like waist up shots and a lot of headshots and a lot of close-ups, but not enough like of full bodies. And also, just a little tidbit, but watch out for when the line art cuts into your word bubble, well, your word squares, because on page 3 in the last panel, when Prisma says, "Why? I'm only helping," the environment's line art cuts right into it. But other than that, I did enjoy reading this, and props to this. Like, it's a good comic. Can't wait to see more.
I know I'm usually harsh on you for like, I'm the big comedy guy, and I usually come in and say, "Oh, I don't think this is particularly funny." I mean, I can't actually honestly decide. This is all right. I mean, I feel like I'm always going to be a bit. It's just I feel like your jokes in general just kind of, they're just not really up my alley. But this, I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate what you do, and it's super got an appeal. This comic's alright. I don't know. I'm being a bit wishy-washy, but I very much respect that it exists, at least. That it's got some good gags, and I just noticed on the last page that you put Tumblr on the list of dead people, and that's like an instant like plus 5 stars in terms of humor for me, because rest in peace Tumblr. So yeah, it's good. I mean, yeah. But yeah, it is obvious that this isn't like your top tier work in terms of art as well. Like, because I've seen you put up some really good cohesive line work, and especially on page 5, it's clear you've scaled up some stuff for whatever reason. So it's too bad you couldn't put your total A game into this, but I still like to see stuff out of you. You got some interesting ideas.
Yeah, MRPR. You probably already know this isn't your best work here. The story's cute. It's a little predictable for me. I was able to figure out what was happening fairly early before the punchline hit. There isn't too much that can be said. It does seem like you ran out of time with your work. I wish I could tell you more about it. It's not one of my favorites, but it's good that you were able to give a complete story from beginning to end. Congrats for turning in your comic completely, MRPR. And Pepperjack, better luck next time. We hope to see some work from you. You know, I've seen some of your stuff in other websites, and it's really good stuff, so we hope to see a new comic from you anytime soon. We're going to move on up to the next comic, which is a one-page Beyond Battle from PETA with Zoey called Wintertime Interlude.
So I'll start it. I don't have much to say because it's a one-page comic, but it's really cute, adorable, and you were looking for mostly feedback on backgrounds, and that's the thing I can't really help with, so I can't really say much more than it was cute, enjoyable.
People in the comments have already said what I could have, like the items telling a story, etc., etc. I personally, like, I kind of just, I wish you made the colors for the interior, maybe even the outside, even for the buildings too, a lot less neutral. Because when I look at this, I can feel a lot of grayish color being used here instead of colors that could complement each other. Like, you could be using not like the brown, like the furniture, for example. The second color between the mustard yellow and that red that's reflecting from the wall is just gray, and I don't really enjoy it. it doesn't give me the vibes that I am feeling while I read this. The line art gives me the warm and comfortable atmosphere that the colors aren't exactly giving me. But it's cute though. It's a cute comic.
And when I voted on this, it was super hard for me to just put down votings because I realized this isn't like, it's not really a comic. It's kind of just an illustration that just happens to be told in panels. Like, you could put this up on the wall of a gallery or something. So it's just kind of hard to critique in the same way you would a comic because there's no real. It's just a capturing of a moment in time, and I mean for that it definitely it looks nice, but it could look better in like one way. I just feel is that I feel like you could render like the fire cast bit, but like you could add like more yellow highlights in the room here. I feel like that would more translate the warmth of the room into like the visual sense other than just keeping everything a general red. The backgrounds are nice. Like I'm not. Yeah, it just they don't. I don't really have anything to say one way or the other. They look fine. You got some nice blending going on. Also, the dad reminded me of the dad from Chicken Little.
Peter, I agree with what's being said about the colors, especially inside. Panel 1, I think, is fine for what it does. For the rest of the panels, they really aren't as warm as they could be. There's a coldness to them from whatever colors you're choosing for shadows, I guess grays or blues or whatever it may be. They're not helping give the warmth that the comic looks like it's trying to convey. The fire doesn't look bright when it definitely should, since it's a fireplace. And the shadows, for the most part, are right, but sometimes they go wrong, such as the thing that has the fire pick in it has a shadow going in the wrong direction, I think. There's texture in the colors that you're using, but I think there could have been some texture with your line art as well. There's a little too much emptiness in the floor and on the walls that could have that you could have fixed with a little more texturing. And I have one story-related question that this brought up, basically, because I had thought that that Zoey was an imaginary friend created by a child, and then she had gotten lost in the woods, and I guess picked up by whoever took them into the Adventurers Guild, which I guess is this chicken. But it's looking like Zoey was extremely young when that happened. Is that the case, or
I think she
retconning the story, or what's the issue?
I think she explained that previously, and I do believe that that Zoey is a figment, but she started off as a very young figment and grew up, and then was put into the Adventurers Guild by this one. So the first part did happen, but she was younger than, I believe that's what it was. I don't. Peter, feel free to correct me. I just know that you did explain the full thing of how that went.
Okay.
Of how that works.
So the little girl, sort of imagined like a baby chick.
Yeah, I believe that is what it was, because the little girl was also a very little girl as well. So okay. I believe that's what it was. I don't know exactly the full thing, but I do know that PETA did have a full explanation for the entire thing.
Well, feel free to hit me up with the answer when you hear this, PETA. Those are my notes for the comic.
It's very cute, very wholesome. Got a lot of wholesome comics going on.
Yep. Thank you for sharing this little comic, this little moment in time with us, PETA. Moving on to a brand new character, Dauber Pauper, from a brand new artist.
Brand new artist.
Known as what does it say here? The real Bird Blitz.
So, the name is funny. I like this. I like the style. It reminds me, honestly, I told them before, it reminds me of Yoshi's Island in like a good way. And I'll just say I do like the line thing that they were. I don't know what the real Bird Blitz, if they're like a he or she or they.
It's like a hatching that they're doing.
Okay. Yeah, I like the hatching they were doing. And I want to see more of it. They just need to refine it more, because in particular, the human on the top 2 pages, the hatching, it more so looks like a pattern on the outfit or clothing. Oh, it just needs to be refined more. And there were some points where the hatching was just in the middle and not directly connected to the line. So just working on that stuff more, which will come as you do more comics in the style, which I want to see more comics in the style and see you improve on that more. So I also Con Man Snowman sounds hilarious, and I look forward to the battles that you'll get into. So that's what my part.
Okay. Blitz. I don't know. I don't even know if I can like critique, because me and other friends have been kind of helping them out throughout setting up its intro. But I'm really glad that you got Dauber Pauper in. Just like for context, Blitz, you gotta hate me for this, but I just want to mention that Blitz is the one that introduced me to Void.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I got in, and now Blitz is in. So we finally get to fight each other eventually. I don't have anything to say, because it's because anything that I say is definitely things you'll naturally improve on in the future, or things that people have already mentioned and you already know about. So all I have is compliments, congratulations on getting in. I hope you have a lot of fun in the community, and we also have to collab one day, and that's about it.
So I have to appreciate anyone who is a friend of Astro, because Astro is a friend of me. Just a little bit of nepotism here, but I like the character design. I like you have a very inspired way of drawing. I think it definitely could be spruced up a little, because you seem very attached to this sort of cross hatching you do, but it seems directionless. I don't feel like you really do it in the places that require shading to the extent that they really should. It feels like you just use it as a special touch. But for instance, I don't think they should be on the edge of a panel just because it's the edge of the panel. Because it feels like you've just thrown them around enough just to confuse the line work. So I can't really tell what's going on. On page 2 on the first panel, I can't even. It's really hard to even read the guy's expression because of your little lines that are everywhere. But I feel like if you can rein that in, it can look super good. You just need to learn how to use this incredible power of yours. Also, text probably shouldn't be tilted like that. It just makes it hard to read. I recommend you just use a bit more line breaks.
First of all, Real Bird Blitz, thank you for bringing Astrodile to us. She's a terrific person, and it's great to have her here. This comic is really cool. I love the concept, and I agree with what everyone's saying about the cross-hatching. It's a neat little stylistic signature of yours that I want to see you perfect and improve upon to really solidify your look. With time, you'll learn that. With time, you'll learn how to do better backgrounds. With time, you'll learn how to do better word balloons and work your fonts better, the anatomy of your human bodies, etc., etc. You're a fresh face, so welcome to Void, and great job with your first intro comic.
Please collab and/or fight me, Blitz. You know that Ash wants to eat Dauber. You know it. We've talked about it. So just hit me up if you want to do a fucking deathmatch, I guess.
Does Ashlan think it's like ice cream?
Yes, actually, literally, like she's gonna hold a snow cone and be like, "Oh, this is gonna be great," and then she's gonna see Dauber and be like, "Holy shit! Never mind, I want him."
We're going to move on from this comic to Cassidy Madson's Mad Girls Recap, Beyond Battle by MRPR with the character, the little mad scientist girl, Cassidy Madson.
I'm not sure how I feel about this comic. Like, it doesn't have the... I mean, of course, it's a shorter comic, so it wouldn't have the same type of humor. But the main thing of the comic just seems to be the whole photo of all the other characters reinterpreted by Cassidy, which is cool. But I didn't really get it, I guess, or it didn't fully hit. The impact didn't hit for me, I guess, is what I'd want to say. The impact didn't fully hit for me. Actually, yeah, I'm trying to figure out what to say. I don't have much else to say, but I do like that you're doing all these comics. And also, actually, I'll take one thing back, or I do appreciate that you're doing a whole group shot character, since you tend to do zoom-ins. So you actually trying to do this whole group thing of the reinterpretation of the characters is good for you to try that. And I look forward to more stuff, I guess.
Okay, Mr. PR. This is a very cute kind of summarization comic for Cassidy at the end of the year. I like how on page 2, it's kind of like all of the villains in her eyes, how they look to her, and it's very funny. I love Hara having a straight up big ass fucking beard all the way in the corner. That's kind of funny to me. I don't know how long it took you to do this comic, but I don't recommend drawing one half of the face and then copy paste and flipping it on the other side, like what you did on page 2, panel 3, because even though it cuts time, it looks really, really awkward, and especially since her mouth is taking up a lot of this space on her face. It just kind of looks weird. But don't have much to say otherwise about this comic. It's kind of a nice nod at her previous universe, I guess, like how her society used to act. Kind of a nice nod at that. Hoping to see more of Cassidy's storyline, and great stuff.
Yeah, I think this is a super neat way of developing Cassidy a little bit, like establishing how she is a totally different romanticized expectation of good versus evil, and so it's just no, that's not actually how the universe works. But yeah, it really kind of shows Cassidy's view of the world and why she is so comedically evil, because that's all she knows. You have to be comedically evil or comedically good, and also adding the little suspense of Mr. Bot not I feel like it's just a nice little development. I think it works just for a New Year's update.
MRPR. This is a good summary, like it's been said, of what your character's been through so far and how they experienced the world. It's interesting to see her take on everything around her. I think, given that this was a Beyond battle, you could have spent a little more time with it. In particular, with the characters you have in the backgrounds. I know they're not colored, and I know that stylistically that sort of works for what you're trying to do, but you could have added at least some different shades for the different shades of blue for the different shades of their character designs, just to make those parts a little bit richer, rather than and sometimes it feels like it just forgot to get colored. It being a Beyond battle, you want to make sure that you're pulling out as good a thing as you can for the amount of time that you're working on it. In the first page, the last panel bothers me because there's a giant space on the left with nothing happening there, and no real reason for it to be there. There's some empty spacing happening in the panel above it also. Other than that, it's pretty indicative of where you are at the moment, quality-wise, and hope to see you get better from this point onward.
Why is Infant so tiny?
Like what?
Why is Infant he's just a small little fry?
Maybe that's how she sees him.
Just a tiny little footstool for Gray.
I got a question, and if one of you knows it, who is the person in front of Grease?
Oh god,
I think that's
I closed the tab.
Oh, sorry, I have to go back.
Yeah, hold on.
I think that's supposed to be Kurt.
Wait,
That's
Casey,
Grease.
Hang on.
Wait, no, Grease. Sorry, not man.
someone send a screenshot.
Yeah, the person in front of Grease, I think that's supposed to be Kurt.
Kurt?
He's got a thing at the side of his
Kurt?
smile.
Yeah, that's the robot.
Oh, that
thing.
is Kurt. Yeah,
Okay.
that
Yeah.
has to be Kurt.
But Kurt's like right up on the first panel.
Yeah, that's the picture of Kurt in the first panel, and then the bottom
Wait.
is Cassidy's interpretation of what she thinks Kurt
Yeah.
is, like this evil mastermind.
Yeah, her interpretation of Kurt
Oh.
is as, like, I guess, an Italian man.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
Italian
mafioso.
It's him, Mr. Mafia.
Mafia bot.
Has there been a Mr. Mafia on Void? I feel like that's a name that someone's probably used.
I'd be surprised
It's
if
close. What was the name of Brothel Q's
Mr. Murder.
Well, Mr. Murder? That's pretty close.
It's close-ish. Congratulations on this comic, MRPR. We're going to move on up to the next comic, which is another brand new character from a slightly brand new artist, Astrodile.
God,
Hi.
this Astro person just all over the site. I'm so sick of them.
That's right. I'm trying to expand on my power.
Well, now get into more retribution. Now you have bounty hunters to capture all the wanted people.
I'll try.
Do it.
Ardastri is good this time of year.
So to talk about the actual comic, you do really good stuff. You do really good stuff, Astro. I like how you switch from the lineless style when they're outside to the line style, the more lined style indoors. That's really super cool. Also, the reference to Grease is really cool, and just them having the wanted poster and wanting to go after Grease. That's pretty cool. Hopefully, you guys get a chance to fight soon. So that's all I have to say. Get into some retribution battles because we need more of those.
I mean, yeah. This. I mean, I actually got the inside scoop by being the person to critique this before it came out. So it already has my seal of approval. But it's especially these first few panels are just so nice. The way you put the little blue highlight on them. It's like, oh, I love the way Monty is all red here. That's good. And this whole first page in general, like, look at, oh man, it's just really nice. Like, Astro just has a handle of the lines of action and whatnot, and action in general. It's just the way that it's just beautiful. Yeah, it's just some real beautiful stuff going on here.
Yeah, Astrodile. Everything I said about the previous comic, Ashlan versus Akira, this is the one, actually. I changed my mind. It's this comic. This comic is gorgeous visually. There are some panels here that are just perfect, honestly. The last panel of page 2, the first panel of page 3, middle panel and page 4, these are just perfect panels, honestly. You do it again where part of it is lineless and part of it is lined, and I would love to hear your thoughts on that, or if it's just the same thing that happened with Ashlan's comic.
Okay.
As far as pages 1 and 2, the only thing I would ask for is that the sky is so dark that we can't really see some things as good as we would like to really get the fine details about them. Especially in page 2, a hair gets lost in the dark a lot. And just some little bits of outline here or there from some kind of light source, or just changing color here or there would have helped keep some of the shapes that you have from being lost, because you've got great shapes going there, and it's a shame that they get lost.
Okay. Thanks so much for the compliments, you guys. I'm glad that people really like it. I'm glad that people like how this looks so far. And people might ask me, again, Astro of Astrodile of Entervoid.com, why do you keep switching between line art and lineless? And here's the context. So my excuse was that, when they get inside, I'll just do line art. So, different style. The truth is, once I finished page 1, I got really tired of doing lineless again, and I was literally like, man, I'm tired of doing this. And then I skipped ahead. I went immediately to page 4, and I just started doing line art for it. I think the most painful page to do was page 2, so that's why it's kind of like whatever. Because I was like, man, I'm tired of doing lineless. I'm tired of doing art. I kind of want to just be a turtle. I'm really glad that you guys like it. Thanks to Shen for letting me borrow Grease, even though it was just me copying, like just looking at his bounty poster and being like, it's mine now. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that in the intro. I don't know. I really appreciate that you guys like the direction with how this intro comic looks. I really appreciate it because I've been kind of struggling to find out what I want to do with my style, and hopefully I get to do more with these two in the future. I have a scar match right now, so that's what I'm doing right now, actually. Whoops.
Yeah. You should just alternate between lineless and lined for an entire comic.
I do actually seriously like how you did it in this
Sure.
comic, where the outside was lineless and the inside was lined. I like that. Also, because you've mentioned before you had trouble with scene transitions, I think doing a mix of lineless, lined at certain points would definitely help do better transitions. Like, because you mentioned before you were having issues with like flashbacks or memories and stuff. Switching from like lined to lineless for that would work.
Okay, I'll keep that in my notes, which is my brain.
Anything else from you guys? Any more praise to give?
Feed me.
I said what all the stuff I want to say. Get into it once again. I'll say it again. Get into more Retribution, because Retribution is cool. We should have more stuff with it.
Someone please fight me. These characters are literally made for Retribution.
And you're also like one of the few lawful people. Everyone else is just like lawless.
I know. I have a good boy. I made a good boy for you guys, and you guys don't let me fight you. What is this?
Well, Harlow was neutral, though that's sort of changing now that he's running for mayor.
Okay, well, I attacked Harlow, so I can't really like fight him again.
Great job on this intro comic, and cannot wait to see what's in store for these characters.
I love you guys.
We're moving on to the final comic of the night, drawn by Hellas. It's a Beyond Battle of their dead character, Lena Vildottr, Road to Valhalla.
I'll start. I just love that. Was one of my favorite characters because she died from the Speed Death tournament. There were 3 characters I liked, like a bunch in that were my 3 favorite. She was one of them. And it's cool to see more stuff with her. And I enjoyed this comic just because I love that character. I want to see more of her. And it's cool because Hellas is using this as the jumping off point to start their own webcomic. So it's super cool that you're doing that. And good luck with the webcomic. I'm going to read it when you do it. And I don't really have much to, because I have all the bias in the world. I love this character. So page 5, I like the way it changed up with, I like that blue you have for her. Just representing the spirit form. I like that. I was a little confused at how the Hunter related to the Vikings. But that's just a minor thing, and you could totally change that character. I don't know how it's related to Vikings, but either way, I love this character. Want to see more? Good luck with the webcomic.
Okay. Hellas. I feel like I don't really have like a place to crit since you sent the pages to me beforehand, and I kind of gave you my 2 cents there. And personally, another reason why I don't have crit is because I kind of feel like this comic that you are proud of and other people enjoy, I feel like this is kind of a turning point for your style, where you're kind of starting to get a grip on what you want, how you want to take it, and like how you want to do background environments, how you want to use airbrushes, and of course I could say like you should improve on this and improve on that, but enough people have already said it, so these are just things that you'll just get better with over time. I like the idea of her, like, once she gets possessed by the ghost of this skeleton dude, that her hair turns blonde because it represents that she is possessed. And I like, let's see, I already told you this, but my favorite page has to be page 4, panel 2, because I just really like how you reflected light on that skeleton's armor. Other than that, I just want to say, like, good luck with your webcomic. Please don't leave void. I still, like, want to fight you every now and then. Best of luck. You're a growing artist, clearly, and we're all looking forward to what you do with your work in the future.
So I was not aware that this was for a webcomic. This has kind of changed my perspective on the comic. I guess I'm the only person here who isn't in your DMs, not 24/7. Because I don't know. It's not. I admit the subject matter. I'm just already kind of not. I'm just not super interested in. So I'm like a hostile audience here. But yeah, no. If this is kind of a proof in concept, that's super cool. Like I can totally see what you're going for here, because it's just. But because Lena in general wasn't a character as because you're doing the whole old void, she just fights thing. I wasn't super interested in it, but if she's got a storyline coming up, that's real cool. I do have to say, some of these panels are pretty cool. Some I feel like I think my biggest hang up was just I realized the way that you use airbrushing for light or highlights is just kind of it's not super it's in that it's kind of too polished. I don't know. It's just I feel like the airbrushing works best. I actually was going to mention the same page or panels, page 4, panel 2, on that. Like the airbrushing here is real subtle, and that's where it looks the best in the comic. Honestly, I feel like with the rest of this super hard light, it doesn't really. I feel like you should be using a brush with more like grit or something to it. I feel like that would work better with like your line art. Honestly, I don't know.
Hellas, I think the best advice I can give you right now, given that everyone was able to very effectively review your work visually and give you good critiques, is to just keep absorbing knowledge, keep learning, and don't get discouraged. Even if you feel like you hit a roadblock when you're working on your webcomic or whichever comics you make in the future, don't get discouraged. There is a lot in here that shows that you've grown, even in the past year, especially the extra texturing that you're giving to your line work. keep listening to what everyone's telling you, because I think the advice they're giving you is good. Everything that you're making gets better and better, and keep working at it.
Good luck, Hellas.
And that is the last comic to review for the night.
Yay! Freedom.
We did it.
And they got through it all.
Yeah.
That concludes this episode of VCast. Cro-Iba, where can we find you online?
Oh, you can find me at cro-iba.tumblr.com. You can find me at Reecer6 on Twitter. That is REECER6. That's the number, not spelled out. You can also find me on Fur Affinity, but you probably shouldn't. And you can also find me on Void.com, Enter Void. At a certain podcast we are currently calling VCast. You should listen to it because it's like...
Did you mean VCast?
Not VCast. I didn't say VCast.
You said VCast.
You said VCast.
You can find me on VCast. It's true, but only in one episode. It's episode 7. You can also find me on V Theater, which is a wonderful podcast where we read comics and have fun. Except here's the hot take, or here's the hot rumors. We're changing the name, so get on it before you can't find it because I've changed the name.
Oh, are you guys changing it to VCast number 2? Oh,
Yeah.
geez.
Yeah, we're changing it to VCast.
I want to thank my guests who were able to come in and join me today, Arts and Goodies.
Thanks for having me on. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram with the same name, Arts and Goodies. And I should probably make all my icons the same.
And thank you, Astrodile.
Always glad to be here. Always gonna be here. I'm actually stuck here. Please help.
And thank you for joining us, Cro-Iba.
Thank you. Hopefully I got some good words.
This is Pyrasterran. Have a great night.